What's up, everybody? Alex here from Heavy New York. Today we got our first repeat offender on Heavy New York. We got Dave Davidson of Revocation back. Thanks again, man, for coming here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. So, last time you were here, you were touring with Morbid Angel and Suffocation, and now you're here with Cattle Decapitation and Full of Hell. How's the tour been so far?
It's been rad. We've had a bunch of sold-out shows. Turnouts just across the board have been killer.
Yeah. Now, being that, the last tour was more of kind of like a classic death metal show, and this is more on like the grindcore spectrum of things, have you noticed like maybe a different audience as opposed to the previous tour?
Yeah, I think a little bit, but there's definitely a lot of familiar faces as well. Cattle have been in the scene for such a long time and sort of flying the flag for really extreme death metal. So it's cool to be a part of this package and tour with all these different bands that all are bringing something new to the table. And I think maybe the overarching theme of this tour is just bands that are pushing the limits of the genre in different directions.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now, I believe I asked you this last time, but it kind of makes more sense to ask it this time. But, Great Is Our Sin is still the latest record in the Revocation family, and, which came out in, January of 2016. So do you prefer to play, the newer material when it's been out for a while and processed a little bit more, or do you prefer to play when it's newer?
I think this is a good time to play the newer stuff. It feels like the fans have had enough time to spend with it, and we're all more comfortable with the material now ourselves, having gone through a couple different tours, and we swapped some different songs out. On this run, actually, we're digging a little bit deeper into our back catalog because the Existence is Futile vinyl came out recently on Metal Blade, so we're playing a couple songs of Existence is Futile. We're playing the title track, so it's cool. I've had a lot of people actually come up to me being like, all right, I'm stoked that you're playing the new stuff, but I'm also glad that you're playing some old stuff too. So this is kind of we've got a little bit of a longer set on this run since we're direct support, and we can kind of play a bit of a mixed bag across all of our albums. I think we're playing a song off every record, maybe except for Chaos of Forms. I don't think we're playing anything off that one, but I think every other record has got some airtime on this set.
I'd imagine the more records you put out, it's kind of harder to put a set list together because we've got over 70 songs or something like that at this point to choose from. So you can't play all 70 tonight.
No, unfortunately not.
Maybe you could do that one day, make a whole.
I don't think I'd ever want to do that.
Really?
That seems like that would be 5 hours or more of just revocation. So I don't think anyone wants to sit through that much.
The Jackson guitar can definitely handle it.
Yeah, it could hold up. I'm not worried about the guitar. It's more my neck and spine that I'm worried about after.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that kind of play.
A lot of headbanging for 5 hours straight.
Yeah. Now that you're kind of later into the Great Is Our Sin record cycle, can people be expecting anything new with Revocation happening?
We're working on some new material. Yeah. Very excited the way it's turning out. We'll be recording probably the next 6 months or so, maybe earlier, depending on what we have lined up. But you can definitely, I would say, expect a new record from us in 2018.
Awesome. Now, do you plan to make kind of a follow-up to Great Is Our Sin, or do you kind of want to shock the fans and do something maybe you've never really did before?
I think it'll definitely. We're going down the path of, I think, getting more and more death metal with every release, but it's definitely has a lot of progressive elements to it still as well. So it's still a little bit too early to tell. So I guess I'll just leave it off there with that. Yeah.
But I'd imagine because Revocation, I see death metal elements, some groove metal elements, and progressive, like you said. So I'd imagine when writing new music, it's kind of easy to experiment and kind of go out your comfort zone, right?
We try and do that with every release. So it's always going to be, I think, a little bit of a departure from the last one, but it's not going to be so totally out of left field that it's not going to feel cohesive. I think we've gotten more focused as time goes on. I think that's been a benefit to our sound, and just aesthetically, I like that we're a much more focused band now. We've experimented with a lot of things throughout the course of our career, and now just everything seems really honed into me.
Yeah, and I'd imagine recruiting Ash from 3 Inches of Blood was able to kind of bring in a newer element.
For sure, I
there.
think he was able to kind of take all of our different components and really make them come to life in a unique way that totally benefited our sound. I mean, he's got, you know, the technique of a really skilled, you know, proficient metal drummer, but he also has a lot of other elements that he brings to the table. Like he listens to Rush and Frank Zappa and all those different types of prog rock bands. So when we go into our proggy parts, it doesn't feel like a metal drummer like trying to play like a progressive drummer. It really feels natural and cohesive, and I think that's just really benefited our sound.
Yeah, definitely. So before we go, again, I want to thank you so much for coming back on Heavy New York.
My pleasure.
Oh, is that
Duff, man?
Is that Jimmy Duff? Is that Jimmy Duff? The hearse is pulled up.
The hearse is this is my ride, guys.
That's officially the most metal. If that's your ride, I think that beats any tour bus you could ever be on.
I sleep in the back in a coffin.
It's better than nothing. Aw, shit. Aw, shit lies beneath, everybody. But, wow, and that hearse sounded like a Harley Davidson just now. But is there any, because I know that you just mentioned a new record expected for 2018, but can we expect touring or anything, or are you kind of just going to go right into studio mode?
I mean, I think this will be the last one we do in this cycle. We've definitely had a busy, touring cycle for Great As Our Sin. We've done a lot and gone sort of all over the world. We've been to Europe twice in this record already, and
70,000
did
tons.
Australia, did Mexico, and now this is our third U.S. tour. So, barring any kind of unforeseen tour that comes up that we just can't turn down, I think this will probably be our last one until we lay low for a bit.
Excellent. Well, again, I want to truly thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
Everybody, Dave Davidson of Revocation. This is Alex from Heavy New York. Be sure to pick up their latest record if you haven't already. Great As Our Sin. New Revocation coming in 2018. Catch them on their tour with Cattle Decapitation, Full of Hell, and Artificial Brain. And we will see you next time on Heavy New York.